We have some major Cowboys injury updates after week 2 of the NFL season, where we saw 2 players leave the field and not return. One of those players is going to be out a good long while. This is some brutal news, so we'll get you all the latest right here on Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show. Have lots to discuss both on Cooper Bebe and KaVontae Turpin, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Ian Rapoport had it first saying, quote, Cowboys center Cooper Bebe, a key part of their stellar offensive line, is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain, sources say. He almost certainly is headed to injured reserve, but he should be back in the second half of the season. This is not great news, especially when you lose a center of Bebe's caliber. Good news is the Cowboys do have a guy right behind him who should be able to take the reins and go right with it, but still, losing Beebe, especially just in week 2, is not something you want to see. When you look at the PFF grades he's been able to put up this season, he is a key part, like Ian Rapoport said, of a stellar offensive line. A 70.4 overall PFF ranking has him 10th among all 39 centers. A 66.3 pass blocking ranking ranks him 15th, and a 71.1 run blocking ranking ranks him 7th among the 39 centers. Tell you what, this is a very big loss for a couple of different reasons because the running game has been such a huge part for this Cowboys offense. You talk a lot about Javonte Williams, and you got to give him his flowers along with, what Miles Sanders getting in the end zone yesterday. It's good things to see. But that starts and ends with the offensive line, and they have been spectacular. They've been protecting Dak Prescott. Although he had 3 sacks yesterday, a lot of those was him trying to buy time in the pocket. And the offensive line, in theory, you're supposed to protect him to about a 5-6 second count in some ways, especially in a pass blocking rate. They did that for a majority of the game. I believe only one of the 3 sacks occurred before that 6-second count. But besides the point, Beebe was a huge part of this, and it's really unfortunate to see him go down like this. However, I will say high ankle sprains for offensive linemen and especially centers are not good, but Ian Rapoport, I don't have the official report because it came out literally just a couple minutes ago, but he did say that it's looking like, according to testing, Beebe should be back on the earlier side of this 6 to 8 weeks, meaning we should see him back literally, hopefully, around week 8 or 9 of the NFL season. That right now is the hope. In terms of replacing Beebe, it's not too hard, actually, when you think about it. Zach Martin went down, and we had a guy right behind him, and Brock Hoffman. Thomas Valentine of PFF ranked, actually, Brock Hoffman as one of the most improved Cowboys players last year, and he had this to say, saying, quote, the Cowboys lost Zach Martin to injury midway through the season, and Brock Hoffman stepped in at right guard to deputize and perform well. Hoffman scarcely played in his rookie season in 2023, but allowed just 6 total pressures in 286 pass blocking snaps in 2024. Guess what? He's the guy who will be replacing Cooper Bebe for pretty much the next 6 to 8 weeks, and I feel pretty confident with him. You watched last night's game, or rather yesterday morning's game, I should say. It's an interesting thing when you get a center changed mid-game. We saw the fumbled snap from Dak Prescott. Luckily, he was able to get back on it. That really could have been disastrous had he not, and we could be talking about a very different Cowboys team and record right now. But I think it's a lot easier, especially with Hoffman, who has been in this organization and worked with Dak Prescott, to put him in with a week's notice. You're going to have time to prepare. You're going to have time to basically get him in the right mindset and make sure him and Dak Prescott are working together on a fluid level, which should help for most of the season. I mean, that's going to be a very key part to watch next week when the Cowboys take on the Bears, but I think given the history of him stepping up and being there, I think we'll have a good idea about it. Continuing on in the report, Thomas Valentine of PFF had a pretty good report with it here, saying, despite spending most of his time at guard, Hoffman started 2 games at center for the Cowboys in 2024 and earned a 81.7 grade for his efforts. Okay, 81.7 in 2 games. We're 2 games into the season, right, for Cooper Bebe? He had a 70.4. So I'm not saying that Brock Hoffman is improvement. Not at all. But what I am saying is the Cowboys, after yet another injury, are not going to have to go look out in the free agent market. They're going to be a little bit scarce at that center position. And, if you look at the depth chart, there are guys that could fill in. I believe TJ Bass could go in there if needed. Same could be said for Nate Thomas. Most offensive linemen, if called upon, could be a center. But given Brock Hoffman's experience, given the fact that he was the one to come right back in, and the PFF grade that he achieved last year at that center position, I feel very comfortable with him. And the hope is that we don't have to find this option again. We're not talking about a Brock Hoffman next week, and that he can very much go out there and do his job. The best thing that can be said about a center is nothing. If you don't hear their name a single time in the game, then guess what? You probably did a dang good job. So hopefully we won't be talking much about him, but at the same time, it's definitely going to be a storyline, especially for at least the next week. But he's been in this position before. We just talked about it. Zach Martin goes down, Brock Hoffman steps up, and I give you this. He is the next man up. So people talking about it, I think this is definitely a big injury. I definitely think it's a brutal blow for the Dallas Cowboys because anytime you lose a center, it's not going to be the easiest to replace. Good news is the Cowboys planned for this. They've kept Brock Hoffman, and, well, now we can kind of rely on him. In terms of KaVontae Turpin, I'm sure you're asking about him and what exactly is going on with the latest. So yesterday, he took a hard hit to the neck and ended up going to the locker room. Here's the official report. Todd Brock of Cowboys Wire saying, quote, after taking a hard hit on a kick return late in the third quarter, Turpin was observed heading into the sideline medical tent for attention and then left the field under escort from trainers and without his helmet, which is where you see this picture here. This would be probably an even bigger blow in some aspects just because the wide receiver room is kind of at an interesting spot right now for the Dallas Cowboys. I think in some ways it'd be, I'm not going to say a huge blow, but through 2 games, he's 6 for 6 in terms of targets and receptions, a combined 65 yards. Obviously, his better game was yesterday, in which he scored a touchdown in it. So the hope is that he can be back, and we got an update on him as well. Jane Slater talked to KaVontae Turpin, who said, quote, my x-rays came out good, adding, I'll be fine, but says his neck is stiff, and they have him wearing a neck brace. He was in good spirits as his teammates clowned him for the neck brace, so that's encouraging. I'll say this, anytime somebody is wearing a neck brace, it is very concerning to me, but if you have your teammates laughing at you and making jokes and making funny remarks, I think we'll be okay. So that's probably a very good sign, at least for the future for KaVontae Turpin, which, I think it's a very big thing if you want to go back here to this offensive depth chart. You don't really have a lot of wide receivers. You talk about Jalen Tolbert, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. Past that, it's Ryan Flournoy and KaVontae Turpin. And Flournoy, he's going to keep his spot as of right now. You talk about Jadeveon Clowney, what they'll do with him because he needs a spot. In theory, it's a quick 1-for-1 swap. Cooper Bebe goes on IR. You pop up Jadeveon Clowney on an active roster. But at the same time, do you want to get an extra offensive lineman in there? We'll have to see. I guarantee the Cowboys are going to make some sort of move, whether it be tomorrow morning, maybe this evening. But there are going to be a couple moves made on the 53-man roster, practice squad, all that type of thing. So we'll make sure to keep you updated for that. But tough blow for sure. KaVontae Turpin seems to be fine, back for next week. Cooper Bebe was seen not being able to walk to the locker room. And I tell you, high ankle sprains, especially for offensive linemen, are no joke whatsoever. That being said, for our Cowboys question of the day, I ask you this. What is your concern level for the Cowboys injuries that continue to stack up? Deron Bland's got an injury. Looks like he's going to be out this upcoming week. You talk about the injury to Trevon Diggs last season and Deron Bland. The injuries for the Cowboys just seem to come in droves. And while that is football to an extent, it seems like it happens more for the Cowboys. Maybe that's just because we follow them daily and religiously. But I don't know. What's your concern level with how many injuries the Cowboys seem to attain every single season? Let me know that down in the comment section. But that's what we got for you here today on the show. We're going to have another one later on today with some new stuff from an NFL Insider, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But for now, we appreciate you. We love you. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.